Who has a 100-word summary of all the trouble you guys got into last week?
We finally found this silly tower that we've been running around in circles in a magic forest for, and we found out that it's floating above the forest, and that whoever lives here is a fan of pranks and puzzles.
Is that what Treble titled this YouTube series?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure because
that's actually a much better title than what I used.
oh goodness.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to be using it for this one.
That's too bad.
Actually, no, I'm not because I already forgot what he said.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Oh, we've got the dungeon. I'm still waiting for the dragon.
We had that. Don't you dare, Brick Road.
I remember the dragon.
You guys want a dragon?
No.
All right. Well, you guys are sitting out in the courtyard.
No.
How do we solve this dragon puzzle?
Yeah, so at this point I'm pretty much ready to set up camp for the night, come back and approach ice tomorrow.
So before we set up camp for the night,
I don't know about anybody else.
I have Lucius is holding on to alcoves and tree, the little glass chips found in alcoves and tree.
Let me double check that.
Florian has slides. Seeker has wings and crank. Alex has mirrors. Gus has snake and song.
That matches my notes.
I would have wings and crank.
Of course. They're both designer drugs.
Yes, I do have alcoves and tree.
So these little crystal these little pieces of glass that we have, right?
Yeah.
We actually like looked at them compared them to each other? Or do they look like they fit together?
Yeah, I think we roll out
together.
I think we go back to the camp, roll out a bedroll, and then kind of take a look at them side by side and see exactly what we've.
I think they're basically identical, right? There's just these little chips that look like they fit into the slots in the floor.
Right. In the center of each one, if you hold it up to the light, you can see in the center is a black squidge of what looks like ink that moves kind of like mercury in a glass thermometer. How many does Gus eat?
Why do you keep thinking Gus is Birdie?
How many would Birdie eat?
4.
You've thought about this.
No, it's just a gut reaction thing.
Well, that's what you have after you eat them.
Then we'd have to get on Twitter and ask Jeremy Crawford what the rules are for like bowel movements for kobolds.
He'd probably reply that that's like up to your DM's discretion.
Can you
and
believe
you'd have to come out with rules for kobolds?
There are no rules anywhere in the 5th edition books for bowel movements.
Seeker doesn't poop.
I believe that. I find that very believable.
I think it's one of those things where you just kind of fade to black on.
Why?
Like,
are you afraid of poop?
4, like Persona 3 when you go to the bathroom.
If your poop is fading to black, you should call a doctor.
Listen, I don't tell you how. I haven't written the thesis on Tiefling gastrointestinal disorders.
I'd like to read that.
Okay, so yeah, we head back to that hill.
Yeah.
Alex just wanders away while the rest of you are sitting there discussing your poop. Go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest. Alex, roll a d20 because ...
Before the rest? I got an 8 on a d20.
Okay.
I'm good on healing. We took that short rest earlier and that got me good.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Give me a second to figure out what spells I
Yeah, I might actually want to mess with my spells as well.
I do keep the Flumph party chat open on Discord in another window, just in case somebody's trying to send me like private messages during the game. It's like if one of the players like gets abducted by aliens and he's like, "Hey, I got to go with the aliens" or whatever. The problem is today, every time I click into the window, I'm gonna see the trick or treat Venn diagrams, and
I can send you private messages instead, Brick Road.
so sick of getting pictures of your butt. So tired of it.
You know you
private messages,
Not
not messages
performing
with your
well.
privates.
Does the butt really count as privates, though? Come on. Don't be a prude.
Depends on how hairy it is.
How hairy is yours, Treble?
You'll never find out, Brick Road.
Thank God. Go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest.
I did.
Plan of attack for the next morning is what?
Set up a complicated artificer device to burn through the ice.
It's not complicated. It's
No,
just
it's not
fire.
complicated. All I want to do is collect some wood from the surrounding forests, use my smith tools to heat an iron rod, a little bit larger at the end, than the thingies, then the little discs, red hot, and then go in there with them, holding it in like a pair of tongs, and try and melt through that ice.
Can you get us a thin thing of wire too? Just something that we can bend at the end to kind of fish it out.
Yeah, I've got my fuse.
I'm gonna stay outside. That way I can go in and like melt you guys out.
Yeah, if necessary.
Behind the ice wall, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't come back and like
I do have heat metal alchemically if I need it, but figure why not just use a little elbow grease first, see if that works.
mhm.
See, and I'm gonna do all of this outside of this clearing. Like I'm not gonna cut any of the trees in the clearing or anything, but
Fair enough. So you're
that's
up
my
on,
plan.
you're up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Back where Vladislav's camp is. So if you're up on top of that hill, you're also a fair distance away from the courtyard. 'Cause remember, the hill had a very gradual...
Yeah, I'm gonna actually come to like how close can I get to the courtyard and still like be in the forest around it?
The tree line thins out as you go down this slope. So maybe it was about a quarter to a half mile coming down the slope.
how far until it looks
Probably a
made
couple
for-
hundred feet. A couple hundred feet between like the edge of the hedge here.
Yeah.
And where
I'm
the
just
trees
gonna-
have been cleared away.
I'm gonna cut up some wood and just throw it on Scrappy and then bring it a bit closer.
Okay.
Just before it looks like a nice formal lawn. That's where I'll set up the kiln and start heating this rod.
So somewhere before, because remember this stone path doesn't go all the way up the hill either.
Yeah,
It kind of comes.
Yeah, right before the stone path starts. Basically, I'll clear some grass and I'll start building my kiln.
And somebody requested getting attacked by a dragon, so
Dragons.
and the new day dawns. Now what?
I mean, do all the stuff I just said I was gonna do. I'm gonna use my smith's kit basically to heat up an iron rod.
Okay.
And then with tongs, I'm going to bring it over to the ice. And I think Seeker and I are going to go in, and the others are going to stay outside.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
that
sounds
sounded
good.
right.
Seeker
Let
has
the gnomes get up to the dumb artificer stuff.
Who has the sending stone in case you need to call for help?
I do.
I do, and yep.
Okay, cool.
I also have the sending spell prepared, JAC.
All right. So you're not here, and you're not here, and you're not here. So you come back in. It's much as how you left it. You can see some of the frost on the north and south walls here. Well, finger quotes, north and south. You don't actually know because your compass is going crazy. Because previously you'd held a torch up to where you saw the glass chip frozen in the ice here. And as the wall began to weep, frost began to jut out from these walls. And that's when you stopped the experiment.
All right. So I'll come over here. Are you going to be... Which side of that potential ice wall do you want to be on, Seeker? Okay.
I want to be over here with you.
And I will, take this red-hot iron rod and push it into the ice to melt a path to that disc.
Okay. get a strength saving throw from both of you.
It's a 4.
A 4. How'd Seeker do?
10.
What is your
Seeker,
actual,
go ahead. +5.
That's a 15.
What are your actual strength scores?
8.
8.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or no, 6. I rolled that 15 though. Apparently, got this little gnome body.
I've been eating my Wheaties. All right. So yeah, you take this iron rod and it starts boring through the ice relatively quickly. Jets of high-pitched steam squirting out as you force your way through. Those are actually extremely cool YouTube videos where people do that.
No, it's really sweet. Yeah.
Really fun to watch. And amidst like this high-pitched squealing sound, you're like, is it animal dying? Like, no, just the ice is mad. Seeker, off to your left, very rapidly, you see frost forming up until a thin wall appears between you and the exit. That's when you hear the cracking underfoot. And suddenly, the blocks of ice that you've been walking on fall out from underneath you. "14 points bludgeoning damage. As the
From
ice
both of us, or?
for both of you.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Seeker can cut that in half because you passed the save.
Okay.
The ice falls away from beneath you. And you fall some distance and hit hard on the ground. And then an avalanche, just broken blocks of ice, chipped all the way down to snow, crushes in on top of you. Alex, you're unable to move completely. Seeker, you managed to fall in such a way that you have like one of your arms and one of your hands up above the top of the snow line, but the rest of you is buried underneath. Now what?
Okay. So one of my hands is free.
Both of your hands are free. Like one, you're buried to the wrist on one arm, and you're buried to like above your elbow on the other. So you have both hands free.
All right. I am going to cast Levitate on myself,
Okay.
and I'm going to attempt to levitate myself out of the snow.
And it takes some doing, but you manage to use the magic to pull yourself up and out. And looking up, it looks like you've fallen probably about 40 feet down. Looking up, you can see the new frost wall above you. And then looking on the south wall, you can see this red-hot iron rod, which is stuck in the wall, which is very slowly bending downwards as it melts further into the wall. And it looks like it's about to slide and fall out onto the mound of snow where you imagine Alex is buried underneath.
Okay, I'm going to try to fix that first. So I'm going to float up there and just try to grab the not hot end of it, the end that Alex was holding.
Okay. You pull out the iron rod, and looking in a little pool of superheated but quickly cooling snow melt, you see the glass chip.
All right. And I'll attempt to fish it out of there.
Okay, so Seeker has the ice chip. And then you abandon Alex and leave?
Yeah, and then I'm just done with him. So what can I see down there? Where Alex should be. Do I kind of have an idea of where he is underneath the snow?
Make an investigation check.
Okay.
Can I attempt an athletics check to try and get myself some space to move, or?
Yeah, make that check at disadvantage because right now you can't move.
Okay. I'm going to add +5 to that, so that comes out to a 15.
How are you adding +5 to that?
Check out for wrong ability. Flash of Genius.
Is that where you smoke your cigarette?
No, that's guidance. Flash of Genius is snap my finger and I have a magic ring.
Okay. How'd you do on that investigation check?
That's a 12.
Alex, you managed to make some space with your arms and your legs, but it's just enough to afford you a small amount of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to basically carve out a little bubble for your face, which is what they should say you should actually do in an avalanche. But it becomes quickly apparent that digging yourself out from your position is going to be hopeless.
Okay.
Seeker, you got what?
At 12.
A 12. You can't see any movement in the snow from your position. But fortunately, the room is not that big.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're going to throw Alex away. And you kind of have to choose one of these squares to begin digging.
Okay. I'm actually more concerned about Alex getting hypothermia than I am conserving spell slots at the moment.
So you cast Fireball?
Yeah, so I cast Fireball, taking him out immediately. No, I'm going to lower myself down onto the ground and cast Locate Object, looking for Alex's clothes.
I will point out that if that was really your biggest concern, that he was about to die of hypothermia, Fireball would be a really good choice.
I don't know Fireball.
And you're kicking yourself now.
I'm a piss poor wizard.
Using the Locate Object spell, it becomes very easy to pinpoint his location under the broken ice and snow.
How far down does he seem to be?
Further down than you were.
Alright. I am going to cast Sending and send a Sending to Gus.
Okay.
For future reference, by the way, I have mage armor on now.
Okay.
And tell Gus, Alex is buried underneath some snow. Bring rope and a shovel. Thin covering of ice on the door. You should be able to get through.
Gus, you receive that sending.
My response is, do we have a shovel?
I'm not sending you another sending. Figure it out.
I'm going to look through. Does Scrappy have a shovel in his saddlebag? No.
No, I don't have a shovel on my equipment.
We did establish last week that none of you own a shovel.
Right. Well, I'm going to just shrug and say, somebody find something to use as a shovel. I'm going to go in and help. And I'm going to go in and
Gus,
immediately... Yep.
You come in. Remember, the walls themselves here are made out of ice blocks, so you can see some distance into them before the light has refracted enough and you can't see any further. This sheet of ice here is very thin. Because to put it into perspective, he melted some volume of ice away from this wall to reach the chip. This is a similar volume of ice covering a much, much larger area.
Okay. I'm going to shoot a firebolt at it, square in the middle.
Okay. Roll damage.
It's a 4 fire damage.
Seeker.
Yeah.
You hear a tinkling sound above as the ice sheet that you told Gus he could deal with is dealt with. As it explodes inward, as it bursts, the ice doesn't melt, doesn't shatter and rain down on you. In fact, it lands in midair over your head, and the ice instantly hits some kind of invisible plane some 30 feet above you and begins expanding outward and downward, forming large blocks like I've drawn here.
Okay.
And let's roll initiative.
Huh.
Magic shrinky dice.
Should everyone roll initiative, or should just the people in the room?
You follow your heart. If you don't, you can never do anything in this situation.
Got it. Rolling initiative. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sure.
So, Florian, last
Yeah.
you heard, Gus tried to find a shovel, and none of you people are carrying a shovel because you're not adventurers. Why would you?
Yeah.
And then Gus, and it appears, no, just Gus, went through the teleporter. That's all you know. What do you do?
Yeah, that's all I know, so I'm just going to... What time of day is it? It's like
Morning.
Yeah, I'm just going to enjoy the morning sunshine.
Okay.
Seems
Not in the courtyard. You're not, because remember the sun doesn't actually shine because you've got this giant block of sandstone.
like, you're right. You're right. So, still just going to chill.
Okay. It's going to bring us to Alex, who is actually down here covered under a mountain of snow.
So I've got like my face and my hands free, basically.
You have just enough room free that you're not going to be in any danger of suffocation.
Can I reach my gear on my like belt and stuff, or
Let's say that you're restrained mechanically. So anything you can do while restrained.
okay?
But your hands aren't bound, if that's the question.
Yeah, it was basically gonna get stuff to cast spells.
With some great difficulty, yes.
Let's go ahead and pull a vial out of my alchemist kit and cast levitate on myself.
Okay.
That'll take my action. With my movement, would I be able to attempt to use the levitation to pull myself free and upward?
Levitate can carry what? Like 500 pounds?
500 pounds.
500 pounds. How much does 30 cubic feet of snow weigh? As a rule of thumb, saturated snow weighs approximately 20 pounds per cubic foot. That sounds good to me. So 20 pounds times the 30 cubic feet of snow above you is 600 pounds plus your weight. So when you try to levitate yourself up, the problem isn't levitating yourself. You've got a couple, like an inch or two of room to do that. The problem is all the snow above you.
Okay. On my next turn, I'm going to use levitate to like kind of support myself and then start digging with my hands.
Okay. And that's going to bring us to initiative count 20. Seeker. The blocks above your head are forming all across the room at very quick speeds. And in a few seconds, they will have completely formed all the way to the back wall.
What am I looking at over here?
Over here?
Yeah.
Ice block wall. Well, no, actually,
Right.
there's a bunch of snowpack there. Covering, so you can't see what's the wall behind it. But about 20 feet above your head is where you see these ice blocks forming out very quickly.
I am going to light a torch.
Okay.
And then I'm going to attempt to start melting the wall down here. And I'm going to call out to Gus. The blocks up above disappeared once we melted the wall. So if you can help with that.
So you can't actually reach the back wall here because all the snowpack from the previous blocks that broke.
Is there anywhere where can I use the snow then to kind of like climb up here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, then I'm going to try to kind of climb back up.
Or you could levitate.
I can't anymore because I used locate object to find Alex.
Ah, too bad. Okay. So are you levitating up to the bottom of the ice blocks that are forming out, or are you going up and over to the top where Gus is?
I'm attempting to climb up the snow up to where Gus is.
Okay. Yeah, that's easy enough. You'd have to climb up the snowpack probably here, and then it's pretty easy to just grab and hoist yourself up.
Okay. How much movement would it take for me to get like right here?
We'll call the climbing portion difficult terrain, and then after that you're fine.
Okay. How far down was I?
30 feet.
Okay, so I'm probably going to, if I dash, I can almost make it to the top. So it actually might be smarter for me to start climbing over here, because that way if this starts closing up a bit more, I'll still be fine.
Okay. So you hoist and climb your way up to the top of the snowpack in the back half of the room, anticipating the floor reaching you first.
Yep.
Okay, it's going to bring us to Lucius.
Pop on through. Take, say, about 5-10 feet of movement for that. I'm going to cast Fly on myself.
Yep.
25, 30, 35. And he said he's how far down?
Seeker's climbing to the top of the snowpack. Alex, you can't see.
Yeah. But as soon as you come over like the edge, Seeker points at where Alex is and says he's about 30 feet down.
Okay, so it's 25, 30, 35, 40. Another 20 feet gets me down to the ground level.
Okay, so you're on top of the snowpack now.
Yeah, and that was my action. I can't do anything else this turn.
Okay. Florian, you're all alone with the robot dog.
Did Lucius say anything before he went in?
I think he just dove in, brother.
He just dove in? I mean...
He probably would have said something offhand like, oh boy, I wonder what mess they've gotten themselves into now.
I'm going to sit out here one more turn.
Okay.
That's the Florian way.
Yeah. That's the neutral way.
What drives a man to neutrality?
It's going to bring us to Alex.
Alright, so I'm going to use my levitate movement to move myself upward while I start digging myself. Is that a athletics check?
I think I got skipped.
Did you get skipped, Gus?
Yeah. I was between Alex and Seeker. I just noticed.
Who would skip you, Gus?
Well, go ahead and take a turn, but don't take longer than like 5 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to step right here. This is like a step down, isn't it?
No.
No, it's not. It's even with the floor. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm going to shoot the ground with a firebolt.
Okay. And a massive snow bursts up into powder.
How much how deep down did that dig?
And you're not really digging with firebolt, you're just blasting away the top layer of snow into powder. It's not really a digging implement.
It's not really a digging implement. Well, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm afraid if I go down there, I'm not going to be able to get back up because, fighter.
Because of the reasons.
Because of the fact I'm a fighter in full plate.
Alex, it's not going to require a check, but it will require your action to... You're just digging with your hands?
Yep, digging with my hands and using levitate to lift myself up.
Okay. How long does levitate last?
Concentration for, I think, a minute. It's not, very short.
Okay.
1 hour, jeez.
And on initiative counts 20.
It's an hour.
Yeah.
With an hour worth of work, this will... Now it's Gus's turn again. He gets so many turns.
So all of this is even with the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
The blocks are kind of building themselves as we go. In fact, Lucius and Seeker, what are your passive perceptions?
Passive perception is 17.
Seeker?
10 for me, 15 for my familiar.
Lucius.
Yes.
From your position underneath the blocks that are forming, because you're on top of the snowpack, you can see the blocks are kind of building themselves, like freezing out of thin air, advancing across the room. But you can see the blocks are not all connected. There's a network of like hairline fractures in between, spidering through them, down here on the bottom.
Call out the cracked on the underside.
Back to Gus.
The blocks.
Okay, cracked on the underside. I guess that's how they fell in the first place. How far down is the snowpack from here?
They fell about 30 feet down. So the top of the snowpack is only about 10 feet down, but then the bottom of the snowpack would be a full 30.
Right.
There are places where the snow is deeper than others just because it didn't fall completely regularly.
Okay.
Right now, Lucius is at the top of the snowpack, which means from your position, you could like reach down and high-five Lucius if you wanted.
Uh-huh.
And then I moved up the full 20 feet of levitate with my movement that turn. Is that correct?
We'll call it difficult terrain because you're digging at the same time. You're moving at half speed.
She's not gonna carry 90
Gus,
pounds of
what
shit.
is your passive perception?
Not great. 11.
Okay. It's your turn.
I am going to look down and say crap and jump on here.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my hand on the ground and I'm going to cast a level 2 burning hands just because I don't know, maybe the extra damage will help the
All right, roll some damage.
right, yeah, thing. So let's see. That's D6s, right? Yes, it is.
And that's what, a 15-foot cone?
It's a 15-foot cone, yes.
Jeez.
That's all 6s. That's
Nice.
4.
So how much damage?
24.
Alex,
Mm-hmm.
you have dense snowpack between you and the situation here.
Mhm.
So I'll say you have resistance to this damage.
Also,
Is this typically a dexterity saving throw?
It's a dexterity saving throw, yeah.
Alex, you don't really have the space to dodge anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'll let you make that dex save at disadvantage.
Seekers just turns around and says, "It's at the wall."
So that's a dex save of 17.
How does that do against your spell DC, Gus?
Oh, that passes.
All right, so you can half that 24 damage twice. As you're
Okay.
digging and levitating yourself up, and
So I have to
suddenly...
make a concentration save on levitate. Okay, I'm good.
If you didn't and fell back to the floor, and then the sides of the thing collapsed back in on you, that'd have been funny. No, what actually happens is the snow that you're digging through, you suddenly hear this loud whoosh sound, and you feel the intense heat. And suddenly you're staring up at Gus, and Gus, you look down and you see Alex is slowly levitating towards you, kind of with his arms up in front of him in like doggy paddle position,
Yeah.
as he's clawing and digging his way up. And now he looks very slightly French fried as well.
It's fine. French fried gnome is delicious. Anyway, I'm gonna climb back out of here.
Okay.
Back up on the ice. And to get out of the way.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna call that my turn. Because I don't remember how much movement I have left.
Seeker, you're up.
Alright, I'm going to finish getting my way to the top of the ice pack. And then I'm going to light a second torch and start trying to like melt the wall over here.
Okay, to what end?
Seeker's hope is that since this ice floor collapsed when they melted that wall, and it also started forming this, maybe I'll slow down the floor expanding
Okay.
so that everyone else can get up.
So you're standing on the snowpack holding a torch to the ice wall.
Yes,
Okay, that's
2
gonna,
torches.
That's gonna bring us to Lucius.
Because I can light
Uh,
one once a turn.
Is Alexander moving up fast enough to where he'll get above it before the ice floor freezes back over?
He takes his turn before the floor advances.
Because I can only carry 90 pounds, and I imagine that I'm already like half that with my gear.
Mm-hmm.
Go help Seeker. I'm fine.
Seeker, 5, 10. Let's see, like 20 feet to go back up. 5, 10. That puts me 30 there. Seeker, do you resist my grabbing you and dragging you back this way?
Are you dragging me along the wall?
Yeah.
Then yeah, no, I'm fine with that. As long as we stay next to the wall and I can keep melting the wall.
Yeah, no, you good. You good.
And that's the end of Lucius' turn.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Florian.
I think it's time Florian made his way inside, no?
I don't know, is it? I'm not Florian's player.
I think it is. What do I see before me?
This.
This whole situation.
You see Lucius is dragging Seeker along the floor, half of which is missing. Seeker is holding 2 torches close to the wall, and it looks like I don't even want to get into this down here.
There's just a coil of rising steam from that corner.
Well, it looks like you guys have everything under control.
Yeah,
He
hey,
just
don't
blinks and leaves.
shoot a spell at Alexander.
Got it.
Alex.
All right, so 20 feet of my movement, I can levitate 20 feet, and then I can dash to just like climb along the wall with levitate supporting me.
Uh-huh.
So does that get me over the ice
yeah.
flow?
Up and over.
Yeah.
And just as you do, the floor advances.
Say to Seeker and
Is anybody else going back underneath the ice blocks at this time?
no.
You got the chip, Seeker?
Okay, then we
All
can
right, let's get out
come
of
off
here.
initiative.
You guys got the thing? Excellent. Wonderful.
Good job, Florian. Could have done it without you.
GJ team.
Yeah.
A plus effort.
So you have the 9th of the glass chips. Seeker's holding this one.
I will
Yeah.
say that Alex was right. That was the worst room.
There were some unexpected consequences, but we thought on our feet. Floated on our feet.
I'll just walk over to this bench, lights a cigarette, and just sits there for a while.
Gus walks over and
Starts
pats
puffing
it.
the burns out of his equipment.
Bracing. That'll wake you up, right?
What
Gus-
sucks, Alex, is that you're burned and wet all at the same time.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Seeker
Yes.
is prestidigitationing all of his clothes to warm all of them.
Gus sits down next to Alex and says, "Sorry, I set you on fire."
No, it's better than being buried alive. I was afraid I was gonna have to climb into my bag of holding for air.
Is there air in there?
10 minutes worth. Yeah, so if that ever happens again and you can't find me, find the bag.
Just like reach in and be like, "Give us an Alexander." Just dump it out. What's the keyword to dump absolutely everything out of your
It's
bag of
just a
holding?
function of turning it inside out. It's not a command word.
Oh. Just turn it inside out. Okay.
I'm gonna take a short rest. I don't know about anybody else, but I need
Okay.
some mid-tights.
Fair enough.
That was pretty exhausting, I must admit.
We had our breakfast, had our coffee, and now we have to take a break.
Florian's up there just eating second breakfast. Some hobbits
Much
drop
like
by.
surprise, though, it was exhausting, but not mechanically so.
All right.
Okay, go ahead and take the benefits of a short rest if you guys are taking a nap.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I will get my spell slot back.
I'll heal myself up for that and get my spell slots.
I don't get nothing out of a short rest. What, like, because I hadn't used anything.
15. All right, that's good.
You use a second level spell slot.
Right, but that requires a long rest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not a wizard.
I'm just gonna do another. There we go.
If that burning hands didn't work, I was gonna have to action surge though. So
And burning hands again.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just burning hands him now, just to be sure.
All right.
All right, what's next?
The voice of God has told me to burning hands you, Alexander.
The 9th, so the 10th, and Lucius starts walking around this way. He says, here's the 10th, the armory.
This sounds like fun.
All right, let's send Scrappy in, and then
I have
we'll all
concerns
go in
about the
6
armory.
seconds later.
Okay, make sure I open up the right one here.
Well, this seems like it aligns with my interests.
Oh, I got Fog of War still turned on my screen. There we go.
Oh no.
And how nice would it be if we just went in and it was just an armory and we got to take the stuff? That'd be great.
Filled with magical weapons and armor that we could just have.
Like it's just
questions asked.
ours now.
That would be nice.
You all are coming in here.
Take armor, leave an armor.
The floors and ceilings of this area are uniform with the rest of the dungeon you've seen so far. But the walls are much, much different. It's like a fractal patchwork of metal formed up of all different types of just the metallic pieces of weapons. So instead of the full sword with a pommel and crossguard, it's just the actual blade and the metal tang that would all be made out of one piece of iron before being set into a pommel. So sword blades, knives, arrowheads filling up the little tiny gaps, great sweeping great axe heads as well adorn the walls. So the walls have a very eclectic texture to them. The especially bumpy parts are where things like mace heads or morning stars are poking out. And sometimes the blades come out of the wall at an angle to the point where they would be sharp to the touch. The good news is they're all angled away from you. So if you're walking north along this hallway, you would not be in any danger of walking in, like bumbling into one of these protruding blades.
So I'm a barmy wizard in the middle of nowhere in a crazy magic tower. My idea of a trap in a room like this is to just have the blades attack the hapless saps who wander in here. Just fly off and just cut them to ribbons.
You're a
So are these
warlock, not a wizard.
actually metal, or is it like stonework that looks like it's weapons?
No, examining the weapons, they're actually metal. Like, with some work, you would actually be able to pry these loose from the wall and make workable weapons out of them.
How much work? Let's
Lots.
test it out.
Enormous amounts.
At an artificer's shop one time, I saw a mousetrap that had these blades that when you push on them, they kind of retract in, so you could just kind of push your way in, no problem. But they don't do that on the way back out. And I find these blades to have a very threatening aura about them.
I'm gonna send Scrappy about that far ahead. He's got the lantern on him again.
Okay. Scrappy sees that the path continues around the corner
Now
I'm
call
gonna-
and turns
Scrappy
left.
back. Now call
I'm going to
Scrappy
cast
back.
Detect Magic.
As a ritual or with a slot?
Just cast it.
So, let's pause here because I'm a crazy man. I've already been doing some work on the next campaign I'm going to run,
Okay.
Excellent.
and I'm going to implement a rule change in the next campaign, but I might make an executive decision and implement it early. As in right now. If you guys don't mind taking a few minutes to talk about some rules.
Sure.
Let me
Well,
open up my...
Okay. Sure.
Nodal, that's not true at all. What are you talking about? Any
Love
of my
rules
players
sometimes.
love rules. Alright, here's my feeling. I think Detect Magic is the most useless spell in D&D by far in this edition. Because it's something that players want to do all the time, but the times where it's actually useful in advancing the adventure are so slim that I feel like it's almost always a waste of time for players to cast it. So here's what I want to do for the next campaign, and I'll let you guys decide if you want to implement it now or not.
Okay.
Is remove the Detect Magic spell from the game. Make it just an innate, like built into the Arcana skill. anybody with spellcasting or pact magic features can use the Arcana skill the way you would use Detect Magic as it's written in the book. So an intelligence Arcana check to tell what kind of magic is afoot in the area, rather than we have to stop every 10 minutes and do nothing for 10 minutes to cast Detect Magic again.
Is it still an action to like turn on your magic sight?
It'd be an action because it's a skill check.
So basically, you're taking an investigation check, except
It's Arcana instead of investigation, but it would give you the benefits of Detect Magic in that you'd see when things are magical, and then if it's actually important, you would see the school and any other information that I have for the device that you're examining.
Is it
Here's-
always?
And then those of you who have taken Detect Magic can replace it with another spell.
Here's the one problem that I see with that, is that Detect Magic works for 10 minutes, whereas you normally want skill checks to be what are you focusing on? And I think it might slow things down to every 5 steps in a room go, I want to focus on if there's magic here.
Well, you'd have a passive Arcana for that. The same
Okay.
way you have passive perception, passive investigation,
Fair enough.
passive insight. So just wandering around, you've got a passive 15 Arcana, which is the equivalent of anything that would show up with a 15 or under skill check, you just know is magical and know something about it. Just by walking past it, just by being attuned to magical things. Whereas the active check would be the equivalent of I'm going to cast Detect Magic on this statue because I don't trust it.
So, but because it is a skill check, we could fail it, and then if we fail, it would be it might be magical. That's the only hiccup I see here. Or casting Detect Magic now as a ritual gets us the information we need. No skill check required.
What information do you get though?
That it's magical?
In this situation, I'm inclined to tell Nodal is yeah, it's all magic. You're in a
It's
crazy
all magical.
dungeon where everything's magical and you teleport in and teleport out.
It comes in really handy when things are locked,
Mhm.
and knowing that it's more than just a padlock. It's also an arcane lock, and shit will go off if.
Doesn't the Detect Magic spell also reveal just the presence or absence of magical energy?
Detect Magic is, you sense magic within 30 feet of you, and if you can see it, you can get an aura. But even if you can't see it, you feel it.
So my thought is that turning it into a skill check instead, you'd be able to feel the aura around you if it's there with your passive Arcana, because you can't fail a passive check.
Yeah.
The active check would be if this is actually important, you'll learn at school or whatever other relevant information that Detect Magic would usually bring you. It's just 99 times out of 100 that information doesn't exist because the thing that's trying to be detected is not actually that important.
Yeah, I can. The way that you run Detect Magic, I can understand that. I don't have any particular issue with it.
Yeah, I don't have a reason not to change it that way, especially since, for this party at least, I think everyone has a really high passive Arcana.
Right. I would rather just because the way I do it now is just if you come across a trap that requires 12 perception to see, I can just tell you it's there, and I can start doing that with magic stuff. I can just tell you there's auras of magic around, and then you just know that stuff is magic without having to. We're not in my other campaign right now. I'm just rolling on random encounter tables whenever they stop for 10 minutes to cast Detect Magic.
Maybe it would, because you're saying also that you don't see Detect Magic as generally being helpful. Here's my intention when I was casting it, and maybe that'll help as well. Is I'm doubting that literally every single thing along the walls is going to attack us. But I was thinking, well, maybe I'll see that 1 in 3 things is more enchanted than the others.
And what's funny is when I'm a player and I'm playing in somebody else's game, I have the exact same thought process. And then I could read the DM and see the exact same response. In fact, my first 5e character was a Warlock that had just the Detect Magic light switch.
Yeah.
And she used it all the time, and I think it was actually useful 2 or 3 times. I'm going to implement this as a rule for the next campaign, for sure. I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to pull the trigger on it for this one or not, or if you want to.
I don't have any issue with at least giving it a shot. Like
Okay.
let's give it a shot and see if we hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
alright.
I'm
go
okay
with
with
it.
it.
Okay. If you who has detect magic as like on their spell lists, who has taken up one of their spell slots, not their spell slots, but their spell lists, their spell book or whatever, known spells with detect magic.
I mean, I do, but I get all Artificer spells, so.
Yeah, I take it, and I almost always have it in a slot.
Okay. So Nodal, you could replace detect magic. It's a level 1 spell, right?
Hmm.
Replace it with some other level 1 spell from your lists.
Okay.
We'll just say that detect magic is a thing. Now, it's still going to be tied to intelligence because it's an Arcana check. It involves knowing something about how the magic works. The intent being that wizards are a little better at it than other types of spellcasters, but anybody who's trained in Arcana usually can make an Arcana check and do a good job at it. Except for Birdie.
Well, I mean, clerics and warlocks.
So I guess this is your warning. If you're going to play a cleric or a warlock in the next campaign, don't dump intelligence. But like Lucius is trained in Arcana, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I did not dump intelligence.
Did you take the warlock light switch?
That's a dark secret thingy, right? Isn't
Right.
It? I'm pretty sure I did not.
If you
If
did,
I'm-
replace
if
it
I'm
with another one
question-
because it's useless now.
Yeah.
I don't think you did, but
Aha, I have a passive Arcana then of 14. I'm smart.
are you trained in the Arcana skill?
Yes. SMRT.
SMRT. So Scrappy looks around the corner here, and it advances another 10 feet, and then turns to the right. And the walls, as they snake around the corner, have the same features to them. They're made out of this patchwork, this kind of jigsaw connection of blades and weaponry, some of which are jutting out and away from you.
I'll nod to Scrappy and have him travel down here. Scrappy, continue along the corridor until you see something that doesn't match the rest of it.
When he comes down here, he comes to a junction. Continue forward for a few feet, or he can continue this way.
I mean, I think that's good enough for Scrappy. He's not
Well,
gonna...
JIC, Alex, ask Scrappy to come back.
Scrappy comes back.
I think that's good enough for our initial investigation.
Yep.
So
Send him back around.
Seeker can teleport, right?
I can move from one place to another within view.
What about through a mirror?
I don't see any reason why not. I would also assume that, like, if I scried, I could do so as well.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make some mirrors for us. Next chance I get with some silver, we're making some hand mirrors.
If you guys make me do like trigonometry to figure out Misty's stat, I swear to God, I quit.
That's the most gnome wizard thing, though.
It's like he set up a network of mirrors along all of these corners to.
Yeah.
You know, I changed my mind. No more magic for anybody.
No more gnomes.
I could be a gnome, just not a magic one.
You know, just no more D&D. Never again.
No more.
We're going
D&D
back.
is over.
We're going back to the wilds. No magic.
You guys had magic
Yeah.
in that campaign.
Eh.
No, we definitely had magic, because I remember my AC being like 27.
Just
So you guys have a corner down to the south here? Well,
Yeah.
quote unquote south, and then you continue on this hallway that has a couple turns off to the left.
I'm gonna check this one out first, so I'll send Scrappy there. Move over here.
This goes to a dead end, but in the dead end you see a small, like in between the weapons, they're kind of situated where at about eye level for a human, so about 5 feet up off the wall, off the ground. There's a square Why is it? It's the wrong color. A square safe with a big knob in the middle of it. So you can see this iron frame of the safe door. The safe door is then set into that. In the center of it, you have this metallic knob with black and gold notches alternating all the way around its circumference.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have a... Does it look like it rotates?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You got some sort of crank knob kind of configuration over here.
I'm inclined to look at the rest of the room before.
That's why I'm letting you know what's over here.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Keep going.
Going where? You got 2 openings you can check out here.
Well, I'll start heading forward.
Ah, Seeker's taking point. So you have an opening to your left in that position there.
Yeah.
17 buttons up here.
What's north of here?
Some floor. And then a dead end off to the side. And there's a second safe in the wall right here.
So another one of those safes over here on the wall.
Okay. I'll keep going this way.
Lucius, you see down to this dead end. You see a third safe in the wall at the dead end.
I'm going to investigate this knob a little more carefully.
Okay, it's a knob.
Yeah.
Does it have any numbers or anything on it?
No markings at all, but the notches on the knob itself are alternating in black and gold. And there's, spending a few minutes counting by 5s, you see 60 of them around. And Seeker, same thing, and Lucius, same thing on yours.
What's it set to? Is there like an indicator saying that one of these is like what it's set to?
No.
Okay. What's the topmost one?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the one at the top of the knob right now? Is it black or gold?
Roll a d6 and call evens or odds.
Okay, but they're not numbered
No, they're not numbered.
individually. Okay, well, I can't see any way for us to solve this puzzle without it having something to do with, without either doing something trickily that's your method, Alexander, or with them having some sort of effect on each other. So I say we just turn the knobs.
Yeah, so try turning a knob.
I'll turn this one
Clockwise or counterclockwise?
clockwise.
I need Gus, Lucius, Seeker, Florian, Alexander, and Scrappy. Just everybody. Make a dexterity saving throw at advantage.
$11 from Gus.
Okay.
13 for Lucius.
We're looking for a 13.
13 exactly here.
Alex fails, and I think Scrappy passes. Let me double check. Scrappy passes.
My familiar also passes.
Okay, 7 points of damage if you pass the save. Nothing if you... Or 7 points of damage if you fail the save. Nothing if you passed it. As you turn the knob part of the way, and it's got this... It's very smooth, very well oiled, and it has this very satisfying click to it. It's the kind of knob you just want to keep turning and turning and turning. But as you do, you start hearing metallic groaning and whining as blades and spear points and axe heads start moving away from the wall and arcing outward in jerks and starts. And all of you are standing next to one of these walls. Some of you are lucky enough to not take a cut. But those of you who did take a cut, which was who? Scrappy?
No, Alex.
Just Alex?
And Gus.
Alex and Gus? The cut is bleeding a lot more than you would expect a nick from, like a knife kind of jutting out from a wall, like catching your shoulder on it. You'd expect a scratch, but the bleeding is very, very heavy.
Can I I don't have a healer's kit. Remind me to get a healer's kit.
Okay.
Is it like that we're actually continuing to take damage from the bleeding, or is that just it's a lot more damage than we would expect from the physicality of the action?
You're not taking continuous damage. It's just surprising how much you're bleeding from this. Just what is amounts to just a glancing blow from a knife point or something coming out, angling out from the wall. But now all of you looking down the hallways, whereas before, the blades were all pointed consistently away from the teleporter, but now they're all jutting out far enough to where you'd have to pay attention and make sure you're walking down the exact center of the hallway to safely navigate this forest of sharp points that are now pointed at you instead of away from you.
So I'm guessing difficult terrain.
Nope, not quite. You just have to make sure you're... Because these are still 10-foot wide hallways.
Okay.
You have to make sure you're walking down the middle of them.
Are the weapons on the walls like completely covering the walls, or are they like at like head level?
They're completely covering the walls, but they're uniformly starting to angle away from the wall as you turn that knob slightly. And you can see the spaces behind the grooved stonework, where they would fit perfectly back in.
Try turning it the other way, and everyone get out of the center of the hallway. Get into the center of the hallway.
Seeker, you can't get into the center of the hallway and turn a knob at the same time.
That's fine. I am going to dismiss my familiar though, because I don't want
Don't
to
you-
take 1 point of damage.
Do you have Mage Hand?
Good question.
Yeah, that's true. No, I don't, but someone else in the party might.
I